Everyone's praising the Dodgers scouting and culture, but the real dynasty engine is financial engineering that borders on unfair. They didn't just sign stars, they hacked cash flow. And the twist? It's not gambling, they're arbitraging time. Quick context, after back-to-back titles, LA is chasing a third with a payroll tax bill other teams call insanity. But thanks to Shohei Ohtani's deferred make deal and targeted spending on Yamamoto, Betts, and Freeman, the Dodgers created a war chest today while pushing pain into tomorrow. Let's talk about how that works and whether it's genius or a ticking time bomb. Observation. Everyone knows Shohei Ohtani's contract is $700 million over 10 years. The headline's obvious. What most people miss is the structure. Just $2 million per year now, with $680 million pushed to 2034, total 43, at roughly $68 million per season, no interest. Surface level take says, wow, cap wizardry. Okay, but actually, this is an interest-free loan from the best player on earth to his employer, which evaporates $24 million of AAV versus the sticker price and slashes his CBT number to about $46 million a year, by present value math. Here's what I think is really happening. The Dodgers bought a decade of flexibility exactly when windows usually slam shut. Instead of carrying a $70 million luxury tax hit, they freed up room to stack premium arms and bats during the title sprint. Yoshinobu Yamamoto at 12 years, $325 million Tyler Glasnow's extension, Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman locked in as MVP caliber anchors. You're not just paying for WAR, you're buying sequencing. Championships are about synchronizing peak seasons, not collecting names. Evidence, look at 2024-2026 revenues. With Ohtani reports pegged team revenue around the mid-$700 million immediately, with international sponsorships and Japanese broadcast money pouring in. That incremental cash plus a reduced CBT hit let them operate near $500 million in payroll and taxes without blinking. Meanwhile, half of LA's giant tax checks effectively subsidize rivals through revenue sharing, yet those rivals don't reinvest at the same rate. The real tea is the Dodgers are punished and still outspend because the deferral turned the single largest expense into later money. But wait, it gets worse. Long term, from 2034 to 2043, they owe $68 million per year to Ohtani, regardless of his playing status. No interest accrued means Ohtani forfeited tens of millions he could have earned passively. The Dodgers capture that value. The risk? If media rights crater or attendance dips post-Ohtani prime, those checks become heavy. Plot twist, the deal still may be net positive because they front-loaded brand growth, Japan market penetration, worldwide merch, elevated franchise valuation, while titles compound lifetime value. Counterpoint people raise, isn't this just pushing the bill to future owners? Maybe. But deferrals count at present value for CBT, so MLB already discounted the liability. Practically, the Dodgers matched a low current salary with the skyrocketing global revenue moment. They're converting Ohtani's off-field magnetism into on-field depth right now. If you believe flags fly forever and balance sheets remember, this is dynasty math. If you believe windows slam shut brutally, it's a beautiful time bomb with a ring or two as collateral. Here's what everyone sees. The Dodgers spent $325 million on Yoshinobu Yamamoto, gave Mookie Betts a franchise cornerstone deal, and signed Freddie Freeman to stabilize the middle of the order. The surface narrative is buy stars, win games. Now here's the part that gets missed. These three contracts aren't just talent purchases. They're structural insurance policies that protect the Ohtani deferral strategy from variance, injuries, slumps, and postseason randomness. Start with Yamamoto. 12 years, $325 million, massive posting fee, no deferrals. On paper, that looks like the opposite of the Ohtani play. Okay, but actually, it's the complement. Yamamoto's deal plants a predictable, high-volume innings engine into the exact years Ohtani's pitching returns, and the championship window is widest. You're not gambling on one ace's health. You're overlapping aces to smooth volatility. And the opt-outs after years 6 and 8, that's a two-way hedge. If he's elite, he can reprice, which counterintuitive helps the Dodgers avoid paying decline years. If he's merely very good, they keep a cost-certain number through his early 30s. Either outcome protects the window. Now pivot to Mookie Betts. People point to his MVP caliber WAR and say, worth it. Sure. But the overlooked advantage is positional elasticity and leadership gravity. His ability to move between right field, second base, and shortstop in a pinch gives roster construction breathing room. That has real financial value because it reduces the premium you'd otherwise pay to patch holes mid-season. Meanwhile, his consistency stabilizes lineup floor outcomes across 162 games, which influences seeding, which affects playoff odds. That's dollars turning into probability. Freeman is a quiet masterpiece. He's the archetype of low-variance production, elite contact quality, plate discipline, durable body, and minimal platoon splits. In finance terms, he's the bond that funds your more volatile equities. When the rest of the lineup rides hot and cold streaks, Freeman's expected value doesn't wobble. That matters in October, where 5 extra good at-bats can swing a series. It also matters for ticket demand signaling. Fans pay for reliability as much as fireworks. And this is where they messed up. If you're a rival trying to copy it, you can't just sign a pitcher and 2 stars. The Dodgers synchronized contract arcs so the aggregate championship equity peaks in a cluster. Ohtani's CBT discount isn't sitting idle. It's effectively reallocated to Yamamoto's no deferral cost and to depth around Betts Freeman. They're buying sequencing and redundancy. Multiple MVP bats so one injury doesn't tank 1 seed odds. Multiple frontline innings so one elbow scare doesn't cascade into a bullpen death spiral. Receipts: look at how the rotation and lineup coverage play out across the grind. Yamamoto's workload anchors series, freeing bullpen leverage for high leverage moments. Betts' on-base skill sets table for run efficiency, while his positional coverage means the team can call up cheaper internal options instead of overpaying at the deadline. Freeman's swing decisions are so bankable that pitchers are forced into stressful sequences, elevating pitches for the hitters behind him. Those compounding edges are why the Dodgers can afford a luxury tax bill that would suffocate other clubs. Every marginal dollar buys multiple layers of stability. The critics will say, long terms, aging curves, decline risk. Fair, but this isn't a set-it-and-pray portfolio. The opt-out structure on Yamamoto creates a release valve. Betts' athleticism plus baseball IQ has already justified moving across the diamond, extending usefulness beyond a single defensive value proposition. Freeman's approach ages better than bat speed-only profiles. None of this eliminates risk, but it shifts the distribution, fewer catastrophic downside years, more slightly below peak seasons that still translate to division titles. Here's what I think is really happening. The Dodgers priced the risk of time, injury, variance, regression, and then bought enough independent bets to keep the mode of outcomes in the 90-win floor, 100-win median zone. In that range, a 3rd straight title isn't a guarantee, but your number of postseason at-bats with home field advantage spikes. That's how spending turns into rings. Not by winning the winter, but by lowering the volatility of the summer, so October coin flips land on your side more often. Everyone says Ohtani pays for himself, and they're right, but that undersells the multiplier. The presence of Ohtani plus Yamamoto doesn't just boost attendance, it opens a second home market in Japan. That means sponsorships denominated in yen, Japanese broadcasters bidding for rights, merchandise pipelines that don't care about time zones, and brand partnerships that value the Dodgers as a North American Asian platform. It's not more jerseys, it's a new P&L column. Can we talk about the layers of that revenue? First, media. Japanese networks have history paying premiums for national icons. Add Yamamoto's A status, and you get appointment viewing that pushes ad rates up. Second, sponsors. Japanese conglomerates align with cultural heroes. Team patches, stadium signage, and digital activations scale outside US CPM baselines. Third, tourism. Home games become destination events for international fans who plan trips around series, converting into higher yield hospitality spend. The Dodgers essentially built a bilateral cash engine. Now the plot twist: MLB revenue sharing and luxury tax siphon off huge chunks. High revenue teams feed the pool, and repeat offenders like the Dodgers pay escalating rates. Half of certain tax penalties get redistributed to other clubs. On paper, that should blunt LA's edge. In practice, the Dodgers still outspend because their reinvestment rate is massive, and their global intake keeps growing. When your domestic revenue is elite and your international is surging, sharing becomes a cost of doing business, not a cap. Meanwhile, everyone ignored the behavioral side. Revenue sharing doesn't mandate how recipients spend. Some lower revenue teams bank the checks instead of matching payroll intensity. The result? LA funds the middle while competing against opponents who don't always reinvest, effectively turning tax outflows into a moat. That's why critics argue this ruins the game, but it also reveals the strategic truth. The Dodgers are winning the incentives game as much as the scoreboard. Evidence time. Reports pegged 2024 revenues around the mid-$700 million, with Ohtani's arrival credited for the surge. Layer in Yamamoto and the Japan market becomes stickier. 2 stars mean resilience if one is injured. The Dodgers then funnel a high percentage of that revenue back into baseball ops. The luxury tax bill alone would rank as a competitive payroll elsewhere. This feedback loop: stars drive global revenue. Revenue funds stars, keeps the window pried open. Okay, but seriously though, there's a risk. Exchange rates swing. Media rights bubbles can deflate. If Japanese interest cools or MLB drifts from linear TV economics, the multiplier compresses, and those deferred Ohtani checks arrive no matter what. However, the franchise valuation effect is its own hedge. Building a global brand inflates the asset price, which owners can monetize through debt, minority sales, or future media ventures. Cash flow timing risk meets balance sheet leverage. Here's what I think is really happening. The Dodgers turned player contracts into market expansion tools. Ohtani and Yamamoto aren't only WR, They're distribution partners who unlock revenue streams that aren't fully taxed away by MLB mechanisms. That's the hidden secret behind chasing a three-peat. You're not just stacking talent, you're compounding markets. And unless the rest of the league changes spending behavior, that multiplier remains uniquely Dodger blue. This isn't spending for spending's sake, it's timing money better than everyone else and turning stars into markets. Now I want your take. Is the Ohtani deferral a genius dynasty hack or a bill that'll kneecap them in the 23s? Drop your prediction for 2026 title or crash, and tell me which contract you'd restructure first if you were running the Dodgers. Subscribe if you want commentary that follows the money, not just the box score, and hit the comments with your best counter argument. I'll pin the sharpest one. New deep dives every week.